In this video, we're going to be discussing non-random sampling. Now, this is a way of collecting data where the collector chooses who is in the sample. So we are going to look at a few examples of this. So the first one we're going to talk about is judgment sampling. So the collector uses their judgment to decide who from the population should be in the sample. Now, this, of course, is prone to bias, but it also will tap into the sampler's subject knowledge. So if they have particularly good subject knowledge on what they're collecting it on, their judgment is useful in basing their sample. The next one is opportunity sampling. So you're using people or objects available at the time of the sample. So, of course, this is a lot more convenient and less time consuming, but is definitely a lot more prone to bias. So if you're collecting a sample on people's shopping habits. Going to a shopping mall would give you a bias because you're not going to tap into those maybe who shop on the internet because they won't be there. So cluster sampling data is split into obvious clusters or groups. A proportion of these are then used in the sample. So one way we could do this is splitting up like the UK into counties or towns and then collecting data from selected towns. Next one is systematic sampling. So data is put into a sampling frame. So that's a list of people or objects that can be sampled. A starting point in the frame is chosen, then people or objects are picked at regular intervals. So you could have a list of names. You start at a certain point here, and then every two names, you pick the next person. And the final one is quota sampling. Data is grouped into characteristics, so that could be age, gender, and stuff of that like, and then a quota is chosen from each. So that does mean that if you are talking about, say, gender, the same amount of males or females may be picked. So our final comment is going to be talking about one advantage, one disadvantage of using non-random sampling. So advantage is it's a lot less tricky to gain people for that sample. So it is definitely easier to collect. One disadvantage, and it's a big disadvantage of this, is bias. There's a lot more chance for bias in non-random sampling.